Phone is after 8 o'clock and we're ready to kick it off. International Women's Day. Let's go with Island Tea. Good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Good morning, Jamster Trevor. How are you doing?
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, I am your host, Azard Gumbs, and with me is...
Candice Franklin. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, and today, as Jamster indicated earlier, I'm sure that today is International Women's Day. It is a day of celebration for women. And of course, we have the theme for International Women's Day. It is Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality.
Yay!
And you know, it highlights the role of innovative technology in promoting gender equality and meeting the health and development needs of women and girls. So it is International Women's Day, Candy. How are you feeling about that?
Well, as you can see, I'm donning my International Women's Day colors, purple and white. I'm definitely hyped today because finally everybody's on the same page and celebrating us. So
I think you guys get a lot of celebration throughout the year.
Sounds a little bit jealous.
Nah, we're getting our day soon down in what is it, November? Yes.
Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. What else?
But we
did I say Mother's Day?
It. We definitely deserve
Not saying
it.
y'all don't, but
They have their
what?
days.
I feel you guys are just trying to rain on my parade, and I'm not gonna have it. The theme for this year says Digital. And I love that theme because it highlights some of the areas that I feel people don't typically think that women should be in. They don't. When you hear women, they usually think, okay, mothers, teachers, maybe doctors, a few lawyers, but they don't think of women in technical fields. They don't see engineers. They don't see IT specialists. They don't see mechanics. They don't see people creating equipment, patents. And I remember yesterday we started talking about some of the innovations that women had done over the years. So I'm happy that they are choosing this year to highlight innovation and technology. And not just innovation and technology, but for gender equality, something that we have been campaigning and championing for quite some time now.
Yes, and women have really made some marks, especially in the Western Hemisphere. You recognize here in St. Kitts and Nevis, women have continued to break ceilings and they have continued to show that they are just as good as the men. And so you have here in St. Kitts and Nevis, you have the Governor General of our federation, first female Governor General. We have most of the boards and statutory bodies are headed by women.
Right.
If you look at the PS that we have in our federation, most of them, to me, I think they are women. If you look at the teachers, most of them.
What is it saying to you?
To
We
be
definitely
women.
know how to get the job done. And later in today, we'll have two women guests that are part of our cabinet or newly formed cabinet, and this cabinet in particular has more women than we've ever had in any of the previous governments and cabinets. So we're definitely anxious to have them in studio with us a little bit later this morning. So stay tuned, guys.
Yes, and as indicated, we have so many. When we look at, and I want us to look even, as you said, the parliament. A lot of now there's an increased number of women in parliament serving as members. And it goes to show that, as I said before, women are breaking barriers and they are taking up space.
We're making strides. We're making big strides. I'm so happy to see the development. I'm happy also to get the support of the men because let's face it, without the men, we couldn't have gotten there.
Yes.
So, want to give you guys your props.
Thank you, Candy.
Without the men, we couldn't have done it. And the men have been very supportive. And I just want to say thank you for that. While we continue to make strides, we should always remember our partners in getting there.
Yes, and you know, there's an article here about lifestyle, and it's talking about International Women's Day 2023. It says, why equity is not the same as equality. Digital innovation and technology for gender equality. It says International Women's Day 2023 is being observed around the world on March 8th, with this year's International Women's Day campaign theme being Embrace Equity.
Right.
You may be wondering why this campaign theme was chosen and how different equity is from the issue of equality. Well, equality is defined as a state of equal, especially in status, rights, or opportunities. Equity is defined as the quality of being fair and impartial. Equity recognizes that each person has different circumstances and allocates the exact resources and opportunities needed to reach an equal outcome. According to the International Women's Day website, the aim of the International Women's Day 2023 Embrace Equity campaign theme is to get the world talking about why equal opportunities aren't enough. It says that people start from different places. No true inclusion and belonging requires equitable action. And so it goes on to say UN Women and United Nations are celebrating International Women's Day 2023 under the theme Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality.
And thank you for that article, because I feel like at times we think, okay, fine, we've given them opportunities. Yes, they're now being able to pick and choose what they want. So what more do they want? We're equal. It's not that. At the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, when it opened at the UN, the rallying cry was that the world needs more women and girls in tech. And we can't stress enough how important that is. Yesterday we had Zaria on board telling us what it's like being not only a female, but being from a certain ethnic background and from a certain part of the world, and what it was like studying tech at a U.S. university. And I think that at some point in time, we need to sit back and observe what it really is like, because you think, okay, fine, you go off, you go to school, you choose a topic, you choose a subject, and everything is fine. But there are certain male-dominated fields that they don't make easy for women who want to infiltrate. And like the slogan says, we need more women in tech. And so that's something I think we're gonna be pushing. Even to refer to another article, I saw the governor of the ECCB speaking about the importance of digitalization in a recent speech he gave. And so finally, we're all on the same page. We all realize the importance of tech, the importance of digital technology, and hopefully we can work together to achieve this and boost our women and bolster them in positions that they're in and empower them to help them continue to break glass ceilings and make those strides.
Yes,
right, Azard?
It is important. It is important. And I always say that it is important to have a balance. It's important to have equal opportunities presented throughout. And so it is significant to recognize women and the strides that they have made, especially when we look at how far they have come, especially in the Western Hemisphere. Because we know in the eastern side of the world, women still aren't given the same respect that they ought to be given, you know. Some parts in the world, women aren't afforded educational opportunity. They're not seen as equals to men, and they are really marginalized. And it's sad. It's sad. I often look at these historical movies. I always look at these past where women are treated way less than men. Even we look at the fact that, we look at the history and we look at kings and queens, and the kings were able to do whatever they wanted to. And I look at it.
Women had to keep a subservient position. But thankfully, and as you mentioned that, I mean, in some societies, women were never allowed to be queens. And even in
their own
historical England, women couldn't hold property. I mean, if you think about the Jane Austen period, women weren't allowed to hold property. It had to pass on. If the father didn't have sons, it would pass on to his male relative, and then they basically moved in and took over and had full control of the household. But if you think about places like Egypt, where we had Cleopatra and Nefertiti, so they were already making strides. And I don't know when we moved away from women being able to be in control and to run empires. And you notice that in some of those same areas that had made those strides back in the day, they've regressed. If you think about Iran and the way the Taliban treat women, since the Taliban have taken over Iran, the women haven't been allowed to go back to school. I think there's actually an ongoing unrest and an ongoing legal issue whereby a 20-year-old woman died in the police custody, and she was actually arrested because she was wearing her hijab incorrectly. So there's still places in the world where we need things to change. We need men to realize our potential. We need them to realize that without a woman, there wouldn't be anybody. There wouldn't be a population. There wouldn't be a civilization. Men cannot give birth. So without a woman, population would come at a standstill. It would just not exist anymore. And I think that in of itself tells you how important a woman is. So I don't understand. I can't wrap my head around it when men don't come to the table and invite us to have a seat at the table and understand that, yes, you guys can do it, but we can also do it. And if we work together, we'll get much more accomplished. So hopefully this new this new century brings some change. We can still hold out for our sisters that are, still in bondage.
And it says, according to the United Nations, 37% of women do not use the internet, while 259 million fewer women have access to internet than men, even though they account for nearly half of the world's population. By 2050, 75% of jobs will be related to STEM areas. Yet today, women hold just 22% of positions in artificial intelligence, to name just one. The UN Secretary General, in his 2023 address, said, women make up under a third of the workforce in science, technology, engineering, and math. And when women are underrepresented in developing new technologies, discrimination may be baked in from the start. That is why we must close the digital divide and increase the representation of women and girls in science and technology. Women's exclusion from the digital world has shaved an estimate $1 trillion from the GDP of low and middle income countries in the last decade, a loss that could grow to 1.5 trillion by 2025 without action.
You realize they're talking about trillion, right?
Trillion, yes.
So for just not including us, for exclusion, we're losing trillions of dollars.
Yes.
And I think I heard you mention that it was just a third of women.
Yes, just under a third. In that field. When you think about STEM.
And I'm trying to figure out what would be the driving force behind that. Why is it that we feel, or maybe some women are intimidated? Because like we were speaking about yesterday, some people think that the tech field is just for men, or that it's a hard field, or you have to be super bright to enter that field.
Yes.
So could it be that we need to maybe change our curriculums in school to incorporate more tech? I know our robotics team that's representing St. Kitts, they have an equal amount of females and males on the team, and I was actually happy to see that, because again, it's breaking that glass ceiling. I think the girl that this year there was a girl that was actually heading the team, as opposed to the year before, or 2 years before, when they had guys heading the team. So maybe we're making strides, but it's just that we're not aware of it. People are probably not doing the research and, punching in the numbers, because I'm really disappointed to hear under a third, not even a third, but under a third. So that makes it even less. But I still think it comes back to education.
Yes.
People think that there are only set fields that you can enter as a woman, and fields that are probably just accepted. I remember I was having a conversation with Jamston. He was telling me that his parents were like, so you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor. It was set from the get-go, right? It wasn't, you can be whatever you want to be. What do you like? What's your passion? And I can't stress enough. I do a little bit mentorship, and I always tell people, go for your passion.
Yes.
I studied law at school,
Go with
and
what
I'm
makes you
currently
happy.
running an events company. And I tell people, while the law is my passion, I have 2 law degrees. I am absolutely at peace and happy when I'm planning, organizing, and executing an event. That is also my passion. So you can have more than one. You can pursue more than one.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you can do and be anything that you want to be. People are now creating careers out of any and everything.
Exactly, and one must. I hate when people put labels on persons. So you are this and you are that and you are defined by this. You know, I remember my graduation song at the Washington Natural High School. You know, I am unwritten. I am undefined.
Oh, I
you
love
know.
that.
You know
That's-
what's you know what's interesting? To both of your point. I could have gone and been a lawyer or something, but I would have been and making 10 times more money, but
Miserable.
I would have been miserable.
Miserable. Follow your
Happiness is
passion.
important.
You know,
Follow your
because
passion.
it's not about the money. Of course, yeah, you need money, of course, obviously, but you know,
It's about following your passion. And I think some people feel as though they're in a box. And that's why, for me, it always comes back to education, and not in the formal sense, but just letting people know that these things exist and they are opportunities and you can do it. I'm so happy to see that across the region, they're now pushing STEM and they're incorporating every gender in it. So both males and females are getting the same opportunity to learn the same thing and to choose the path that they want to proceed in.
I'm glad you said opportunity, because that was a question, that was a point I wanted to bring up. The difference between equity and equality when it comes to women, because I believe there should equity as in everyone being afforded the opportunity.
Right.
But I don't. The equality now is where is outcomes, which is unlikely to happen.
Right.
But at the
Right.
same time, you want it to be organic. You don't want to force it.
Yeah. Well, the
Right?
the equality is more or less giving them all the same resources, whereas equity is recognizing that certain persons
No,
need
you,
more
you,
resources
you
than
give them
others.
the opportunity.
Yeah, but
give them the
equity,
opportunity.
equity is where you see
Across
someone.
the board.
No,
It's-
equality is across the board. Equity is where you have someone is at, okay, let's say that one person is at 50 and the other person is at 30. So you give the person, and you want to reach 100. So you give the person who is at 50 to reach 100. Whereas the person who is at 30, you give them 70 to reach 100. That is equity, because you're giving them based on where their standpoint is.
But I don't
Right,
think
it's
I don't think
fairness.
that's right,
Yes.
though. I just think you should just be you should have equality of opportunity.
Yeah.
And then it's up to them to get the outcome.
Yeah.
But does it actually work
Which
that
is not-
way in reality?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
So you can present the equal opportunities and anybody can grab them. But then, as you were just pointing
Yeah.
out, Azard, everybody does not start from the same position.
Yes.
So then, in fairness, and to create a situation of equity, then you put it across the board where everybody taps in according to where their
are,
needs
yeah.
are. And so that everybody can be equal now. But it's not that you're giving everybody the same amount. So the opportunities exist, but then if you're looking at it from an equity standpoint, then you kind of meet them where
They
they're
are.
at.
So it's a discussion. That's why some persons prefer to say equity rather than equality.
Right?
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. 8:23. We gotta take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna open the phone lines, and you guys can call and weigh in on the whole International Women's Day thing, on any other topic you want, and also, I was telling Candy before. Candy had reminded me. I'm monitoring the YouTube comments. Yeah, and I put a message in there to let people know they can weigh in with their comments, and we'll read them. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take your phone calls: 466-0989, 762-0989, and You guys can call at any time. Don't necessarily, as long as it's not, when we were having a discussion, you guys can call at any time. Feel free. And International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day, ladies.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
Hello, this is Harper.
You got a clock, you got a chair, you got some headphones.
Yep, we got that.
What about a stapler and printer?
Yep, we got that.
Do you have a floor mat too?
Yep, we got that.
Tell me you got some cables and a projector.
Yeah, we got that.
Yo, check this one out. Something smooth. Calm you down. Check out the story. You know what I mean? 1998. It's Vinny and Mojica. Pete Rock. Hey, yo, type.
$8:26. It's Island Tea. And we're going to be spilling some tea with the phone lines and all three of us here. Let's take our first call. Okay, that person hung up. Oh, here we go. Happy International Women's Day. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Of course. The woman is here. Good morning.
Happy International Women's Day to you, Sylvie.
Oh, thank you. I feel so good being a woman. A splendid woman.
A phenomenal woman.
Oh, gosh. Put a plus on top of that.
How are you doing this morning?
Eh?
How are you doing this morning?
Oh, doing fine, man, doing fine. I appreciate your contribution, all of you.
Thank
So
you.
much.
And for the men to be so accepting.
Yes. We have
Yeah,
no
I mean,
choice
you
here.
gotta face it, you know.
They have done well. You guys have done well.
Excuse me. you make it sound condescending.
The
No.
fact is that he can't deny it.
I can't deny it, Sylvie. Women are breaking ceilings.
Oh, yes. And we fought hard for it, you know. I recall
Yes.
I used to be part of the gender
Hmm.
thing, you know.
Yes.
And when we started in the 80s, when they started introducing the concept of gender and equality and equity,
Hmm.
and there was great resistance, and there's still some resistance about women attaining certain position.
Yes.
What's in the plain man?
Yep.
Hmm.
Don't
You
you
know,
dare
and
try
to
to be a
some women,
mechanic.
that is a deterrent. Because not everybody able to stand up and fight for themselves.
It's true. It's true.
And they possible, and those who get through, they're obligated to encourage others to come up.
Right.
So it is not I get you and then, well, how you get up, you get up.
Exactly. Empower each other. Pull along the other
Yes.
one with you.
And this thing about maths. Because, a woman can't do maths. That's a lie, you know.
And I think
Oh,
because of that, a lot of women are, like you said, scared.
Some teachers actually, some expect the men to do better
Yes.
than women in maths.
Yes.
When by nature women can reason better and faster.
It's true.
Because they have so much, what you call it, multitasking.
Have you ever seen a single mother have to budget out money and make sure everyone is eating, all the bills are paid? What's more math than that?
I'm telling you.
Right.
But to go beyond that, you know, the field you're talking about, tech.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us still see women as data entry people on a computer, you know.
That's true.
They don't expect it to go beyond the secretaries, you type the letter, whatever. But there's got to be more motivation, more opportunities
Right.
I think they had started a coding thing at Tucker Clark School. I don't know if it continues. It starts
awesome.
down there.
That would be awesome. Get them involved early. Let them know this is something that actually exists and it's an opportunity they can hop on.
That it is possible for them. So I want to congratulate and commend all the women out there who are making stride. You see, the success you get, you pass it down to your children and your grandchildren.
Exactly.
You motivate
Exactly.
down. So I want all of you, you may be in a position today where you say, well, I can, my life done set and met. Remember, when you try something difficult, you encourage your children and your grandchildren to make the same effort. I'm my grandmother now,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Empower
I'm
them.
telling you.
And let them know that if I could do it, you can do it. I think it comes back
Because
to like
they
what
start
we're
from- they
saying,
start from a better
education.
point.
Right. Because now you have the experience, you can tell them what the pitfalls are, what they should do, how they should accomplish this. And I feel like it comes back to the whole education. And
It's more than education.
not in the formal
more
sense,
than
but in the
education.
sense
It's
where
more
you
than
let
that.
them know, like, look, this opportunity is here. This is how you can tap into it. This is how you can approach it. This is how you expound on it. This is how you take advantage of it. And it's, like you said, as simple as a mother encouraging her children or a grandmother pulling along her grandchildren. So in that way, it basically each one teach one, and then we can empower a nation and we can pull everybody along with us.
Well, you see, it's more than education because, to be fair, children are given the same education.
I wasn't
Even in the
referring
high
to
schools.
formal education alone.
I know, so what I'm
Right.
saying, sometimes it is in that same setting the discouragement take place.
Well, that's true.
Because you have two students, a male and a female, doing just as good, but you will notice slightly that more attention is given to
male.
push the male into physics,
Yeah.
chemistry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A
You're
lot of
absolutely
allowances
correct.
are made for them. And when you want to do it for all, you just want to get married.
Or force them
Not
into
just
their
married is
home
the end goal of
economics.
life. You know?
Yep.
So we want to encourage our young people and the older ones too. You're never too old to learn.
That's
Don't
true.
sit down there and say, well, the man could. Computers are there. Coding, it is now even easier. I remember when I was younger, we were trying to, when you used to write programs, in basic, Lord Jesus. One lot of lines just to do one little task.
One task.
One task,
You're absolutely
Nowadays,
right.
everything well made.
When I
It's
tell my
almost
sister
like you
that I
just got to know
do,
what next to do.
right? When I tell her that I used to do algorithms and we had to learn Pascal and all of that, she's
I'm
like,
telling you.
we don't even use
Nowadays,
that
everything-
anymore.
Everything ready-made, so I want to encourage the women. Don't let nobody discourage you. I was a statistician, which is a male field.
I know.
When I travel and and 1/3 load, when I go IMF, and the number of men exceed. And the bigger, well, I don't like maths, but what maths do you? I'm talking to somebody there.
It's true.
I don't like maths. But if you don't like maths, you're going to get left behind.
Exactly, because math is in
And,
everything.
they ought to know that. Physics is maths, pure maths.
It's true.
Yes.
So I want to
That is
encourage
true.
our women to aspire. Maybe they need aspire. To aspire to be something great. You know, I don't know. Miss Byron, the former parliamentarian,
Right,
Yes.
Akila.
was a network thing manager,
Yes, yes. I
At
think
the
her field
central
is
bank too, you know.
I think her field is ICT. That and she
Yes.
at one point
She was
ran
the
that,
network manager
that
at the
area.
at the ECCB, then at the port. And if she could do it, you could do it too. And I found it interesting. You said you have two law degrees and you're doing something else. Yeah, what the training does is to train your mind, to think.
Right, right.
So I want to encourage all of the women out there. We have enough lawyers now, eh?
There's never enough.
We're not. You see, in America now, everybody will get work because you watch them, they sue you. You spit, they sue you. You say it's
They're
not
very
trained.
litigious.
Everything is a case. But in saying case, because of the fight. So I want to encourage our women. A lot of opportunities out there. Go for 8 up at CFBC.
Thank you.
I must congratulate those who are doing the robotics and others in the push more of them in there. Show them they can. One failure don't mean a total failure.
True.
So I want to encourage the women. Thank all of you out there for doing your best. And those who are not doing their best, aspire to do better.
Thank you
I believe
so
you can.
much. Thank you.
Believe
And I
you
think
can.
that we
I
need
think
to
it don't make a
drum that
difference.
home to them. Thank
Whether
you so
the country
much.
small or big, it depends on you. Depends on you, you know. You can provide all the opportunities, spread them out in the square. Unless they pick them up, they steady you.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, opportunities, they're here, you know. But sometimes people, I want nobody think me is a buyer. Please. And I'm encouraging the young women, love maths.
Yeah.
Love maths.
We really
maths
need to
get you
encourage
to all
them
of
in that
these things.
field. Yeah, that is very true. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your contribution.
So God bless all the women of the Federation and those abroad. God bless you. Without
Thank
women,
you.
there will be no people.
Thank you, Sylvie, and same to you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you,
And
Sylvie.
you to continue to strive and thank the men there on the panel for complimenting women.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yes. Thank you so much. Have a great day today.
You too.
And we've been joined by Brenda Allen, and she is a basketball. What am I saying? A volleyball, a volleyball star. Where did that come from? A volleyball star, and she just recently returned from St. Lucia. There was a volleyball tournament, and St. Kitts Nevis actually won the silver medal on the men's side and the bronze medal on the women's
You've
side.
been excited about this for a few days now, Jamster.
Yes, I'm a big volleyball fan, and
Especially he talk about the beach volleyball.
Listen, he's
Whoa,
been talking
yeah,
about
well,
this
absolutely.
volleyball win for a few
Yeah.
days now.
Yes,
So
yes.
take
not,
it away.
not gonna lie, I love the beach volleyball,
Yes.
and it's not about the game alone. The ladies, of course. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. Thanks for the
Yes,
support.
hey,
We'll
hey,
take it.
hey.
So we have
Good
with us
morning.
Brenda.
Good
How are you doing,
morning.
Brenda?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
And-
So tell us exactly why you're visiting us. Give us that feedback. I mean, Jamster has already kind of spilled the beans, but we want to hear it from your mouth.
Well, before we go to that, if I may, just ask to wish all the women happy International Women's Day.
Yes.
And give a quick shout out to there are 20 women who were honored by the Women's in Sports, which is a branch of the National Olympic Committee.
Very
They were
nice.
honored for their coaching roles. And these words come to mind.
Yes.
A great coach can change a game, but a good coach, can change a game. A great coach can change your life. And those were the words that they gave us on Memento
So fitting.
on Thursday.
Yes.
We had the ceremony, but today they would publish all the pictures and so forth. So
Awesome.
Miss Jennifer Nero, who is the head of the Women in Sports Commission, I asked her to send me the names so we could just acknowledge them. I think
Of
That
they
is
course,
fitting and
yes.
it's perfect. Thank you so much.
We want to do that.
Okay, so we've got for athletics, Bernice Morton and Rota Johnson. For tennis, Teresa Gomez, Shauna Lake. Sailing, Lisbeth Burrell, Danielle Connor. Volleyball, Antoinette Henry. Myself, Brenda Allen. Handball, Govani Manners Hendrickson. Azaria Vanterpool. Football, Kenesia Byron, Kalia Huggins. Basketball, Malicia Caesar. Jaquita Thomas. Netball, Jacqueline Lewis Basu. Vera Herbert. Cricket, Thelma Gumbs, Kishana Huggins. Table tennis, Angelisa Freeman. And a special award was given to Her Excellency Dame Marcella Liebert, who is now our Governor General, and I think most fitting at this time, being a female.
She is.
She's been an awesome coach, and I've had the privilege of having her teach me in Bastia High School, and also coach me for a small stint in netball at that time.
Right.
But
I do remember her playing netball.
yes,
right.
I graduated to, I migrated to volleyball, and I never looked back.
Wow.
And that's where we
So
are
you did
today.
netball and then volleyball.
I did track and field first. The
Oh.
track and field
So you're
personnel always.
basically all rounder in a sense.
Yes. I just love sports.
Yeah.
I love sports, even if I can't play it.
Uh-huh.
So I love tennis. I
You'll
love
still try it out. You'll
basketball.
still
I'll
test it out.
Yes, yes.
I love
but
that attitude.
volleyball stuck with me. Like if you're having if you work for a company and they're having a business league and anything,
Yeah.
I'm there. you can put my name down without asking.
Brenda Allen.
Yes.
Wow.
You know you've got one.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect attitude to have.
Yeah.
You're willing to take on anything and work at it.
At it. It's good and it's bad. I'm an overachiever. So I might not necessarily be the best,
Yeah.
but I want to be the best that I can
From
be.
one to the next, I totally understand where you're at.
So if there's someone saying, you know, we should do some volleyball game, here goes Brenda with her
Of
hands
course,
up.
of course.
Or track and
Stepping up to
field,
the plate.
yes.
And we definitely need more volunteers, right?
Most
Yes.
definitely.
Generally speaking. So
And I found myself wanting to always pass on what I know, not because I think I know more, but because I have gained so much from playing volleyball, from sports in general. But
Yes.
volleyball, I have played for, I've represented the national, I've been on the national team. I've represented the federation for 37 years.
Oh, wow.
goodness.
So I played indoor, and then I've migrated now to beach. I play beach.
You started
alone.
at 3.
See, he's my friend.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
but
wow.
I've gained so much. And we're not talking just the tangible things. Like I've gotten to go off to university
Uh-huh.
to play, but more so the intangibles, the discipline, the changes in my life.
Yes.
The being able to work with other people. You know, in the workplace, you're not going to get along with everybody.
That
But
is
you
true.
have to find a way. You have to be diplomatic. And
But
Lord
the
have
discipline
mercy,
of sports
the
has
discipline
helped.
of sports has helped. And
Yes.
so I've wanted always to pass that along, because one of the things Marcella spoke to, and Governor General spoke to, was the fact that while you're coaching, you don't know what all an athlete is going through.
Yeah.
And some people come from broken homes.
Right.
And sports is what takes them out of
Yeah.
that poverty or that, and
It's an escape.
I
Yeah.
can recall calling my coach, Mr. Glenn Quinlan. He was my
Yes.
first volleyball coach, and I always refer to him as my coach. He's my mentor, he's my friend. But I can call him at midnight. He always answers. And I'm like, doesn't this man sleep? But he's always so encouraging. And I think it's fitting to mention him because he's always tried to put women
Yes.
up there to be leaders, to teach us. And I think if you speak to him, he will tell you some of his best assistants comes from women.
See, those
He
men
can
that
just-
support women. You wouldn't have been here if you didn't
if
have
I
that
didn't
support
have that.
system.
So even though we celebrate today International Women's Day, I think we have to give thanks to some of the men who are embracing equity. I
Yes.
heard you guys
Yes.
talking about
Yeah.
equality and
Equity.
equity, but I think there are some. We still got a long way to go.
Uh-huh.
We definitely have a long way to go, but there are some of them out there.
Yeah.
Another one I can probably mention is Mr. Alfonso Bridgewater.
Right.
He's the president
Right.
of the NOC.
Right.
That man he doesn't know how he impacts my life. And just by his words,
Yes.
just by his presence, I can say I have never heard him speak a bad word about somebody.
Uh-huh.
I've never heard him speak a negative
Yes.
word. Maybe
That's
he
true.
did, but I've never heard it.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And it's always been encouraging for me.
And always such an easygoing person.
Oh.
I remember I worked on
Uh-huh.
a floor beneath him when I worked in a building on Central Street. And I would enjoy meeting him in the passageway when I'm going up to my office. He's going up to his, and his responses. You could say something as simple as, "Good morning, how are you?" And
Yes.
He make
if
you
I complain,
feel-
I'd be ungrateful.
yes.
You know?
Yes.
Always some kind of snappy comeback. And so if you're like starting off on a bad day, you're just saying morning out of just common courtesy,
See?
his responses will make you
Make
pause,
you-
make you laugh, make you think. So I
Uplifts your
definitely
day. It uplifts your
agree
day.
that there are men that empower and embrace us, and we
Yes.
do need that because, like you said, there's much more work to be done.
To be done. I also heard you guys talking about, kind of the stereotype where women are not included in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I really was hoping and wishing that my beach partner, Janelle Lake, could be here.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh my God, I
yes.
love her.
Uh-huh.
And I admire her so much
Yes.
because she's into IT. She's
Yes,
into technology.
yes.
She's
told
brilliant.
we were trying to get her to
Yeah,
come,
we
but
were
she was
trying.
I'm
booked
hoping
out.
she's booked
Yeah.
out, so I'm
Yes,
hoping that maybe
yes.
she could come later
Yes.
this week.
Because
Still.
when I think of women in tech, she's one of the women that come to mind.
Oh yeah. Oh
She
yeah.
is.
And she's a fierce competitor in everything she does. So you know you're gonna get the best out of her.
Uh-huh.
And so even recently, we traveled to St. Lucia, as Jamster would have mentioned.
So
for
tell
the-
us about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
the ECVA, the Eastern Caribbean Volleyball Association. So you might have been more familiar with OECS.
Right.
So we've graduated, so to speak. Instead of 8 countries, we now have 14
Oh,
countries.
good.
More competition.
More
Yeah.
competition. And so we had the beach volleyball in St. Lucia, both male and female. Proudly, the men took silver. I'm always thinking we can do better.
Yes.
And Janelle and I know we're still kind of beating up ourselves because
Yeah.
we took bronze.
Uh-huh.
We are grateful that
Stepping
we
stone. Next time we're gonna kill
so
it.
we're looking at positively still and saying, well, there's more room for growth.
Yes.
There is actually supposed to be 3 legs of that tournament. So there's supposed to be one in St. Kitts and one in Antigua within the year.
Okay.
And one of the things we struggle with is having competition. You practice, and you begin to learn each other,
Right.
and you know what that other person's weaknesses and so forth. But if you make a mistake, okay, but it's not really so costly. But when you go to a competition, every mistake you make is a point
Yes.
for the other team.
Right.
So now
Right.
it becomes really costly. So we need to be more competitive. We need to get more competitions in, and so the ECVA is trying to help us to do that.
Okay.
Because then we go on to the international competitions. So the ECVA is a part of a body called NORSACA. They
Yes.
represent the North and Central America and Caribbean regions. So you start talk big wigs like Cuba and Mexico, USA and Canada.
Volleyball is serious business.
It's very serious business. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but it's serious.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about, Brenda, is the fact that volleyball, I've known this on some level, that you guys have had outsized success and you've had undersized support.
Yes.
So let's talk about that and see if we can get that fixed.
Bring more persons on board.
And,
Right?
most definitely.
let's run down all the successes that you were telling me about.
Well, we'll be here
that no one knows about.
for a good while. But let's talk about more recently. Our guys, they qualified and represented the federation in the last 2 Commonwealths, in Birmingham, England, and in Australia. Speaking to the NORSACA legs, they are an opportunity for us to qualify for bigger events, such as the CAC Games, that is the Central America and Caribbean Games. It is in itself an Olympic, but only for Central American countries and
Right.
Caribbean countries.
Right.
But it's huge. And I would say that we have to be very proud that we are so limited in players, and we have qualified for this year, God's willing, I will be participating in my 4th one.
Wow.
And they're every 4 years, so
Oh,
it's
wow.
Olympic. My
Wow.
4th one.
So
Janelle,
that's
I think
16 years now then.
and
Oh my
Janelle will
goodness.
be
Yes.
Janelle will be, I think, her 2nd. But like the guys, Penny and Sean, they've been in quite a few. And it's for us, it's a great feat.
Yes.
With basically no support because we have no home.
Yeah.
Speaking of me, and there are people who've been playing longer than me.
Yeah.
37 years, and you have no place to call home that you can grow your program.
Right.
We have no grassroots program in the schools. We've been fighting. We've been always, presenting.
And that's strange and sad
Yeah.
because I actually played volleyball in school. Well, my first 2 years of secondary school weren't
Of
here.
high school.
Right, high school. They
Right.
weren't here, but I played volleyball in school.
Because we had.
And it was a program they fostered. So
Yes, but our struggle here is you played in secondary school, high school.
Right.
We need to get into the primary
Primary
schools,
schools,
because
mold them.
by the time they get to high school, most of them have already chosen a sport,
Yeah.
Right.
chosen
Just
a
like
path.
Because-
just like you do with cricket and
Yeah.
football.
And football,
Because
right,
in
and
primary
basketball
school,
and
you're already
netball.
playing football.
So
Right,
what,
and
what is the
netball.
holdup though? Is it that I mean, because we're happy to have you here so
Yes.
that we can, let everyone know of your accomplishments and of the need for growth. But is it that they don't recognize it? Is it that there
It's
isn't
been very
maybe like
difficult
a proposal?
when the proposal goes into, let's say, the sports and education department. It's been very difficult for them to fit us onto their curriculum.
Oh, wow.
Even after school programs. So what we've done is we've tried to volunteer.
Right.
Like on a Saturday morning, we
Right.
have a training camp, but it's not enough. Some people have taken it. I think Antoinette Henry did something in her community where she put up a net and kids could
Right.
come, but it's not enough.
It's not enough.
We need to be able to reach more people, more
Right,
persons in
right.
the schools and mold them from that young.
Of course.
So even beach volleyball, you would hear me talk more about it than maybe indoor. We still do the indoor, which is 6 per side, and then you've got
Right.
subs.
Yes.
We now currently have a business league going, and we say thank you to the Marriott because they're allowing us to use their dome.
I was just gonna ask, so if for indoors, where do you guys practice? Because I noted that you said you didn't have a home.
We don't. So Marriott has been kind enough. We had the great foresight some years ago. We were gonna have a tournament, and at the Norseca level, you cannot have a tournament if you don't have a covering.
Right.
Oh.
So
Because
we
it's
couldn't
not
play
indoor,
outdoor, right? So we started the dome, and we went in there. We said, well, we could put 2 courts, 3 courts, and we did. We put the mattings down and everything. And when you saw what we had created, people were asking, where was this?
Good job.
And so other sports then started saying, well, we could use it. Right down to the carnival committee. Wow. Right?
Yes, yes.
But back to the fact that, even on the beach level, we struggle.
Wow.
We struggle to have a place to practice. And we've been making some proposals. And I can tell you, we've done proposals going back as far as I can remember when Dr. Kennedy Simmons was in.
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
serious? Wow.
We now currently have another proposal. I think some of the guys and the president are going to be meeting with the minister responsible for sports.
So it's a matter of lobbying and getting them to actually understand
And
the
Yeah.
importance and
we're
come on
not
board.
asking them to give us a full a handout. We're
But-
asking
Right.
for support.
Yes,
But
support.
Brenda, what I don't get is all of this success. I mean, there are other sports, and
Right.
it's fine because we have to start somewhere. But here you have a sport that
We
Does
qualify
really well.
and
You have the medals to show.
We
Because
have the
I pay
medals. We
attention.
also we bring so much attention to our little federation. Not just like I'm saying. When I remember going to Mexico and people would ask us, "Where is St. Kitts?"
Yeah.
And I mean, we would walk with maps. We would take our phones out. We would show them. I went to California and people didn't know where St. Kitts was.
Yes.
So we bring attention. In terms of the indoor, the only ECVA country that holds more championships than us is St. Lucia. Hats off to them. They eat, sleep, and breathe volleyball.
Yes.
And they're the only ones that have indoor more championships than us. This has only been the second beach tournament that we've had in the ECVA and the inaugural. So that's why we were a little disappointed. We were hoping to,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
but we have to look forward and we have to try to build.
Yes.
So like I said, we're having this meeting and we've got a few areas that we're proposing because beach volleyball isn't necessarily played on the beach. It doesn't have to be played on the
Right,
beach. It's
right.
sand volleyball.
Oh.
So you can take an area and build it up
Exactly.
and bring sand in and create a really nice environment to be competitive. And we wanted to do the international leg and bring more awareness,
Yes.
not just to the volleyball game, but to the country.
You know, when Brenda speaks about things like this, it opens my mind as the number of possibilities, the number of opportunities that
Yes.
so many
Every
things.
Sports
opportunity is
tourism.
an opportunity for
Sports
growth.
tourism.
Yeah.
Sports opportunity, sports tourism, just making the country
Furthering
known.
your
Exactly,
education because
exactly.
there are no beach scholarships.
Yes. Yes.
It's not just indoor anymore. And we're
then
looking
you
at
might have persons who are interested in this, because when persons don't have things that they can do and stimulate their time, they tend to do things in other ways.
Yes,
But then
we have
again, it comes down
parents
to them knowing it exists. This opportunity is out there for you. Tap into it. But if you don't have the proper
If
backup
we
and
had a
funding,
home,
exactly.
if we had a
I'm
home,
sure you
whether
would have
beach
been
or
able to do
indoor,
more.
volleyball would have been known to everybody.
Yes.
Right? Because we have people who are level 1, level 2 coaches are willing to give up their time. But we have 2 young ladies that are coming both to beach and indoor. They live in Newton Ground.
Yeah.
So now they have to take a bus to get to town. And then they have to get a ride somehow
To Frigate
to
Bay.
Frigate Bay. So what we're proposing is if we can get something a little bit more centralized.
Right.
Maybe in the Newtown area, maybe if it needs must or something. Even when you get off the bus, you can walk there.
Okay,
And
Brenda,
we-
we have a call. Hold on thought, and
Okay.
when you come back, I want you to tell me about the proposed area you thought about, because I want you to maximize this this segment. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, greetings. Good morning to everyone.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The lady, the volleyball lady there, she is so powerful, right? I like the government to respect her. You check? This
Hallelujah.
lady here, at the time I went to and I show up my granddaughter, and my granddaughter is very tall. And she took my granddaughter, right, and Carol, train her, and after that, she went and bought certain gears for my granddaughter out of her own funding. Just how serious, how concerned she is with the volleyball, you check? I think that the government, they need to look into this lady here seriously and put her on some board, because she's taking her own money and buying gears for the youths them, you know what I mean? And if we get the young girls them more occupied in volleyball, they'll keep out the cell and they'll stop this lot of texting, and, you know, find more time, more industrious time, you know what I mean? And they need to build a home and carry the girls them there from a very early age, you check, and go them from there. And the volleyball is a very serious sport, and this lady here, she's very fierce, trust me. And you all need to look into her seriously and put her on some board. Respect, man. Bless.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you for your contribution, Carla. I think that they had some sort of sports council. Didn't they have that before? Where they have a board with persons from different sporting areas, some council within the
There's a oh God, I think they've recently made some sort of something like a council. I think Mr. Quinlan is involved there, and he's supposed to have people from different sports.
Right.
Okay, so tell us about the proposed venue.
So we've
because
looked at a few areas in terms of the beach, in terms of the sand volleyball.
Yes.
the sand court you were telling me they call
There's
it.
an area up at Newtown, sort of adjacent to the football field.
Right.
I think it used to get kind of waterlogged, but they've built it up somewhat. And inside at the back has a really good space. And that's one of the
nobody's using
areas.
it.
No one's using
Right.
it. And we're saying we're willing to put the work in. I know that there was some talk about a water table, and we don't want to compromise anything. So we've engaged engineers and plumbers. And so how
You
can
guys
we
have
do
done
this?
the work.
Yes. How can we do this and not compromise the area in any way?
Right.
But if you look at that area, you've got the Tucker Clark School that can walk. You've got the Seventh-day
Seventh-day
Adventists. You've got
Adventists.
Bastia High School
Yes.
and Washi that if they need to, they can walk or they can be bused there quickly. You've got that neighborhood that you can engage young people in after school programs. But
Yes.
we're looking at, if we have an area, we can do what we want anytime. We can put lights up because we've got some lights on the Frigate Bay now, and so for us who work,
Right.
and we have to practice after.
So the accessibility
There's
is
another
there.
area that we've identified that's a little bit up at the Needmos, close to the electricity, the power station. But our challenge is we've identified over the years many different areas, and every time we go with a proposal, we've got that reserved for something. We've got that reserved for something, and yet still we push. Yet still we go out there and we represent our country.
Hold that thought. We have a call. Caller, go right ahead.
Hi.
Yes.
Morning, Jamster.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Happy International Women's Day, everyone.
Is this Carla Stefan?
Sounds like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Hi, Carla. Good morning.
Hi. When I just get into the beach, I'm looking at your volleyball net that's here.
Yes.
your Saturday morning. But what the question I have for you though is, how do you keep the sand sanitary if you put it in other places?
How do we keep it sanitary?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I know you
where
have the problem. If it's in an area where everybody has access, then people might, do all sorts of things in the sand.
I think we can say that we would have to put some sort of fencing up to kind of secure the place, make it safe, and as you say, make it sanitary. Because we always have that challenge on the beach where we go to practice on a Saturday morning and we're looking at spots on the court and going, I don't want to play here.
Exactly.
You know what happened.
Exactly.
So I think there would have to be some sort of fencing that's put up to make the area a bit safer and sanitary.
Or to cover the sand when
yes. And they do have that kind of like a canvas that you can cover the sand. Kind of like how cricket would do with their pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I've been to places where you find that not just for sanitary reasons, but also to keep the sand from blowing away. We have a windy, so we can always cover that down. But the thing is, we don't want it just to be, the national team is practicing here. We're looking at the bigger picture. We want to have an area that we can have, when parents come and ask us, do you guys have a program? Do you have an area, that we can bring the kids to on a Saturday morning?
And curious children will gravitate towards it. Have you seen if you have a cricket pitch open or a basketball area, even a netball area, they will gravitate towards it and start playing around. And then they develop the talent.
They're sponges. They're sponge. They soak up everything. They learn so easily. It's a joy to watch them. Even sometimes we have kids coming on the beach with their parents and they see a ball and they just run.
So, Brenda.
Yes.
For those persons out there who are interested in sports, women in particular, what are your words to them?
You can do anything you want to do.
I absolutely love it.
Yes.
Short and to the point.
Yes.
And it re-emphasizes everything we've been trying to put over to them throughout the years.
And it's not just sports.
Not a ceiling.
It's in everything. Anything that you want to do. And I would say this from personal experience. If you have someone pushing you, make sure it's something you want to do. Make sure it's something you enjoy doing. But if you have someone pushing you and supporting you, don't be like me and say, that coach doesn't like me. Because that was my first reaction when I had the coach pushing me. I would find that he was easier on everybody.
Saw your potential.
Yes, and I didn't know it. And there was this lady who pulled me aside and she said, he's not picking on you. He sees potential in you. He knows you can do better. So just keep trying. And I did, and it took me a long way. Right. So there's no ceiling. You can do and be whatever you want to be.
Fitting words.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
You've been an inspiration.
Thank you.
And I must commend you on your physical appearance. I'm over here looking at you and I'm like, this woman has not, I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Yes.
I'm like, nah, she's not that age, not with that body. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're representing us well. And thank you so much for the work that you've been doing and that you continue to do. And I wish you the best of luck in your lobbying. And I look forward to seeing you guys getting a home soon.
Yes, we hope that it has fallen on the right ears.
Yes. So if you're listening out there.
Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thank you
Congrats
so much.
again.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
the
for
best.
having
Have
me.
a wonderful day.
You
Happy
too.
International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Okay, great. It's 1 minute until 9 o'clock. Brenda Allen, and she just scored a big bronze medal there in St. Lucia. It was 2 weeks ago. And we're going to have them back with Sean Seabrooks and the rest of the team. So we're going to have Sean, Brenda, and Janelle back. We've got Isalean Phillip coming up at 9 o'clock. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Junior Minister Isalean Phillip. It's International Women's Day.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Life is unpredictable. When a serious illness strikes, such as cancer, heart attack, or stroke, the Family Critical Illness Plan from Kuna Caribbean Insurance can provide an extra layer of financial protection for you and your family against out-of-pocket expenses. Select a plan that fits your needs and get up to $90,000 in coverage. No medical examination is required. Contact your credit union or one of their approved family indemnity plan providers to enroll today. To learn more, call 466-9453 or visit their website at kunacaribbean.com. Kuna Caribbean Insurance, for all people.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
(9:06) International Women's Day, and we've got an illustrious woman from the government side. It's Isalean Phillip, Minister Isalean Phillip. Good morning to you, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. Good morning, and good morning to all our listeners. Happy International Women's Day to all the women of the Federation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome. We are happy to have you here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. It's always nice to be on Island Tea, and so happy to see you guys in combination of hosts. I'm excited.
Yes. So it's International Women's Day, I see. It is. I must say, Honorable Senator. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling pretty good. I must say, I think it's always, I woke up and you typically do your morning scroll on social media, and it's nice to see everybody is wishing, celebrating International Women's Day, noting the day, acknowledging the day, and, nice to see people sporting the colors, purple or green.
Yes.
And so it's really nice to see, just kind of that we are all celebrating and honoring the day.
And we're all on the same page for once.
Yes, that's always
and making
nice.
it all about the women. I was telling Azard earlier, we wouldn't have any population if it wasn't for a woman.
Of course.
Yes.
And people seem to forget that sometimes. So it's good every now and then to remind them that mothers and women are what make and frame and mold the nation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In a
So
lot of ways.
I must admit that I was pretty excited when I saw you were coming on.
Oh, yeah?
I think my first introduction to you was on election night. And I was like, well, who is this Spitfire? Because you were just taking charge. I think you guys were on the same panel.
Yes, we were.
And I was like, who is this woman? They're not even putting up her name. And I started messaging people, and I'm like, who's this woman? Like, she has just read everyone on the panel. and she's doing all of this while she's sitting poised, legs still crossed, laptop on her. I was like, well, excuse me, I need to figure out who she is.
Well, thank you.
So,
Thank you for that. Yes.
I couldn't wait to meet you in
But you know,
person.
Isalean is a former member of the Sinkers National Youth Parliament Association.
Yes,
And
that's
it made
where
perfect
Azard and I.
sense.
Yes,
It made perfect
yes.
sense. I think I finally saw Gian,
Yes.
who I was in youth parliament with at
Oh,
the same
yes,
time,
yes, yes.
put it up. I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
It makes
Yes.
perfect
Yes,
sense.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we're taking over.
Yes, we are
And
really.
I would have known Isalean as well because both of us went to the Washington Natural
That's
High School.
true. And Azard and I were Commonwealth Youth Ambassadors
Yes,
together.
we were.
Yes.
So we had,
Yes,
and I think the last time we debated, it was a bit of former members versus
Oh yes,
new
that's
members.
right. That's right.
And-
That's right. When I had just come back and shoot.
Here's
Yes,
Act
true.
1.
Yeah.
So I've known Isalean for some time,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right,
want to
that's
say
right.
congratulations
Well,
to
thank
her. I
you.
think her appointment was fitting, you know.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
she's
Yes.
been in youth development for some time, and she's been an advocate for women.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know she's going to do good things in that ministry.
Well, thank
and
you.
I'm looking forward to see what does the ministry have planned for International Women's Day.
Oh, well, so we are hosting our International Women's Day Award and Empowerment Toast this evening. So that's tonight, and that will be at Government House. So we're doing under the patronage of, a pioneering woman herself, Her Excellency the Dame Marcella Liebert, who's our Governor General, the first female Governor General. So we're actually really excited for that.
Yes.
We host the awards annually every year, but this year, is the first time we're actually really going to Government House, and we're also partnering with an NGO, Women Empowering Girls.
Right.
And so we're really looking forward to that being a really top tier event. Since the theme for this year's observance is related to technology and how we can minimize the technological divide between men and women, we are honoring women who have been pioneering in that space or who have been leaders in technology, in sciences, in digital transformation. So that's what we plan to do this evening. And then, of course, we're going to have the mentors who participate in the Women Empowering Girls program. We're going to have them come, and we're going to do an empowerment toast with all these women and encourage them to continue doing what they do in their
sounds
spaces.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm
Is
excited.
this going to be viewable to the public? Is it going to be streamed? Or are we just going to have to wait for photos after?
I think we're just going to have to wait for photos after this one.
And I'm so excited.
Yes, because
So-
I met a young lady yesterday, and she told me that she's going to Governor House. I was like, oh, what's happening to Governor House? And she says that they're going to be, women, and they're going to be celebrations. I
Yeah.
said it's a good thing,
It
for
is an
women to meet and
amazing
for them
event.
to celebrate their accomplishment together,
Yeah.
especially the strides that they have made here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
And I
yes,
think
for
it's
sure.
fitting that you guys are doing it where you're doing it because the Governor General herself, she has done so much work
Oh, yeah.
in that field, just trying
Absolutely.
to empower,
She's-
embrace, and, just push the ceiling and
That's
bring
right.
women along with her. She
Yes.
hasn't always been doing it on her own or just for
That's
herself.
right.
She's
Yes.
always been bringing women with her.
That's right. That's
And
right.
so I'm happy to see that you guys are actually not only doing it in that space and honoring her, but bringing on other women, because a lot of times the work goes unnoticed,
It does. It does.
right?
you
And
know.
even though you don't do it for the praise or the money or whatever, it's still good every now and then to get that kudos, get that pat on
Of
your
course.
back. So
Of course. It's
I
always
think
nice
it's
to be
an
recognized.
awesome initiative.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. And then, on a smaller scale, so the Department, of Gender Affairs, we have a small signing ceremony. We decided to wait till today just to honor that, where we are signing a new memorandum of understanding with one of our NGOs that work with us to provide shelter services for women who experience domestic violence. And
happy
so
you brought that
we're really excited about that because that just kind of demonstrates us our working relationships with non-governmental organizations that help to support the work that the department does in relation to gender affairs. So that's what I'm going to next after this. So we decided to put on a little ceremony and do that today as a kind of momentous.
And you have just
kind of
made my day. I can't express how excited I am. I was telling Azard just recently that is one of my passions.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned it when we interviewed Sonia, advocacy for domestic violence
Yes.
victims.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I met you when I met you at the youth forum. I started
Yes, that's right,
talking
that's
your ear
right.
off about that. So the
So I
fact that
met
you
you.
said that is like, I just got like a whole shiver over my body. Yes, thank you.
So I mean, when we don't hear about that issue as much until something happens.
Yes,
but
which is
of course,
unfortunate.
it is unfortunate. But of course, there are people out here doing work who are we're really working to see how we can strengthen our systems and our resources to be able to support persons who experience gender-based violence. And obviously, we would have made legislative changes last year to the domestic violence bill law, and so we are really still working. We're still working. The small things are happening still.
And
We're really trying to
it's
improve.
constantly evolving because it has changed. What we've known domestic violence to be, I guess, from in the 70s or the 80s, it's been graduating because people are now using tech to bully and torment and threaten. And
That's
so
true.
and I know in that field, we always had a debate as to whether or not we could have a shelter here, how it would it work, and people have always been so negative about it. And my thing has always been, but we still need one. We need one.
We do.
So I'm so happy to hear you mention that, and I send best wishes, all the best of luck and everything to you guys. And I can't wait for it to be open and functional so that people know that there's somewhere that they can go.
Yes.
So thank you for your work in that area.
Persons, women who are experiencing those situations really need a safe space.
Yes, that's right.
Because it makes no sense that they talk to the partner who has, committed the wrong, and then afterwards they have no other place to go after that.
Because that's what prevents the cases from going further. Because you file the report, and then where do you go after?
That's right, and that's the challenge, and so we do recognize we obviously have some gaps and weaknesses in, our social protection systems in relation to certain situations, and so it's always nice to be able to partner with, non-governmental organizations, because government can't do everything, right? So, and even individuals, we do have churches and members from churches who volunteer to just offer shelter services, very as temporary as they may be, but they do help.
Exactly.
They do help, and so we are very appreciative of those people who work with the department and who are really open and to volunteer and support the work that we're doing in this area. So
thank you so much, and kudos to you guys, and more power to you guys. I have a question, and I noticed that when the new government was formed, there was a new ministry, and I think it falls under you, and it's special.
It's youth,
aging, right?
Youth empowerment, aging, and disabilities.
Right.
Yes.
Tell me some more about that, because that is new.
It is.
I was excited when I heard it. I was like, okay, perfect. So I'm thinking hearing impairment, sight issues, just general things that would fall on the disabilities that we often sweep under the rug, overlook. And one of my siblings, she suffers from a hearing impairment. I have gone through the rigors with people trying to understand and be compassionate and just, in general, not make her life hell.
Yeah, right.
Even when we had COVID, one of the issues was that she reads lips, and everybody's wearing a mask. So
that's true.
And then when you go and you would go and they have the glass up, they have a mask on, and she's showing them her aid, and she's saying, I can't hear you, and I can't read your lips. Miss, I have to keep my mask on. You already have a glass between us.
Yes, right.
I can't, how will I literally function?
That's right.
And, as a protective older sister, it would drive me nuts. So now I would have to leave what I'm doing and go and say, ma'am, she has an aid,
Be reasonable.
So when I saw that ministry being formed, I was like, maybe finally we will get the education out there and build up the sensitivity, and people will understand that we're all not created the same, but that doesn't make us any less.
Exactly.
So tell us some more about that ministry.
Sure, and I mean, I love that you bring that as an example, because we don't think about these things. Us able-bodied folks, we don't think about just the challenges that persons with some kind of level of impairment or, disability goes through. And so really and truly what the new ministry seeks to do is really kind of put a much more specific focus on these areas and on these marginalized groups, even though, in administrations, government has always had some level of interaction with these groups. We do know we have the Disabilities Association, we have Addie's Place, which are organizations that have always existed for a long time. and they've received support from the government. However, with the establishment of this new ministry, we're really being very much intentional about seeing how we do need to push the dial forward in terms of how we are accommodating and how inclusive we are in our social development and our just, development as a nation with these groups. And so we are identifying, obviously we've always seen youth has always been attached to something else, whether it's sports, it's education, it's culture, it's kind of been tossed around everywhere.
Yes, it has been.
And so, we're kind of establishing it because we know we will always have young people. We do need to support the development of our young people to become the leaders of what we need. And then aging obviously focuses on our seniors and older persons, and that's really important, especially now globally when it comes to demographics. We have more older people than we do younger people. Fewer people are being born and people are living longer. And so we do need to be proactive about how we integrate our older persons because, even though retirement is 62, you could be 62, very able-bodied, have a lot to offer. And then, even we have quite a number of centenarians, people who are living to 100.
And then they force you to retire, put you to sit in a corner and almost like you're forgotten.
Yes. And so we do need to think about how we are making sure we cater to these persons as persons age, because we are all going to age. And so
inevitable.
we do, and so we do
age
need
every day.
Every day we get older every day. And so we do need to think about and be a lot more proactive around, our policies for elderly care and making sure that there are programs and, just initiatives in place to make sure we cater to our aging population, also learn from them.
You guys want to take a call?
Sure.
Okay. Island T, go right ahead. Okay. It turns out we do have another one. Okay. Caller, go right ahead. Island T.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, go right ahead.
Good morning. Greetings.
Okay. And the women in the house, you want to say Blessed International Women's Day?
Thank you so much.
And all that is listening and in tune. Okay, we are hearing the sound about the elders. It is more talk than anything else, The elders is not fully cared for and protected. And we want to switch off of that and go on the street folks, We notice the street folks, like people, like it seems like they're invisible. The people, the folks that live on the streets, especially the elder ones, like they're invisible.
The homeless.
They pardon?
You mean the homeless persons?
Yes. Like they're invisible to us. Like we don't see them, what they're going through. We bar them out from where they're resting without catering, without providing a place for them to rest. We see them as people we cannot deal with, especially those in the Basti area. I'm talking about Pinder and Roach and others. And I think we should really get to the point where we see everybody as somebody. Otherwise, we are going to have bam bam around here, whether it is caused by man or whether it is caused divinely. We have to embrace everybody as somebody.
Correct.
And not just talk about it, but do it. We have to reach to that point. Blessed love. We won't take up any more time because we know you're trying to flow as much information as you can. Blessed love.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. That is a very good point that's noted, and that's something that is recognized. And one of the challenges that we do have when it comes to homelessness is, again, we don't have shelters now currently. And so we do, and I think the caller makes a good point, and I think, it is good for us as a society to really see how we can support these persons and not just expect it to just be a government responsibility. But, we all have a civic responsibility. So, in the absence of, those resources currently right now, how I know there are a lot of churches who do outreach, who do, try to, do like soup kitchens, do kind of lunches and those kinds of things. And so, I take the point from the caller, and of course that's something to be noted and, to in consideration. But of course, it's an onus for all of us.
And to add to your point, I often wonder sometimes, Because I see sometimes that some of them change clothing, and
Mhm.
sometimes some
And
days
that's-
you'll see them clean.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll see them eating, and
Yes.
it means that they
There's
do have
somebody.
family. There's somebody there that is,
and they're good people, in
right?
this.
That's
They are.
assisting them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, is it that they need the help to get them off the street, or that they just can't maybe keep them off the street?
Mm.
Because I know of a case where there was one particular person, and is a female. She was
Mhm.
on the streets, and
Mhm.
the family tried everything to get her
Mm.
off, and she would often escape and,
And
go,
just
back
go back.
onto the street.
Yeah. And I
Eventually,
think
they had to take her and put her into a home.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
unfortunately, I think she's on some medication.
Mhm. Yeah.
I guess to regularize,
Yeah.
the highs and the lows and
Yes.
whatever else.
And that's
but-
kind of a part of it too, because we don't know what the mental health of these persons are, and I think that plays a major factor into
Right.
some of the issues in
Yes.
terms of why they end up on the street as well. So those are the things that also needs to be considered, and I don't think it's that they are not being invisible or ignored.
Right.
But
It's just that it's more than
there's
one
more.
issue, so you
Right,
need
there's
to get
more
to
than
the
one
bottom of it
issue.
before you can even tackle it.
Yeah, so
But
it's
but
more
we
than
do take the point and
Absolutely.
agree, because it and they're becoming more and more. And what I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed from I think 2020 to now, there are more young persons on the
Younger
street
Mm.
in that state of homelessness and mental
Yes.
disability.
Yeah.
Than there was ever before.
Mm.
I mean, I was actually driving around and trying to take a count. I was like, I've never seen that one before. Where did he pop up from?
Mm-hmm.
So, it is something that we need to take a look at.
Yes. And so before the caller, we were talking
Right.
about the different aspects of the new ministry, and so
Right.
persons with disabilities would be the other area of focus. And for that, I think it's obviously new, but the focus is exactly what you said. I think we really, as a nation, as a country, we need to raise our consciousness
Yes.
around the differently abled, and we need to recognize that we need to adapt our infrastructure, just the way we do business, so that we can accommodate these
Agreed.
persons so that they can live fully.
Yes.
And that's really kind of I think it's just an understanding. I think for a long time people saw disability as a health problem, but it's not necessarily. Some people are just differently abled. Some people are
Exactly.
just born differently abled,
Exactly.
but they are fully functional outside of having a hearing impairment or having to function with a wheelchair.
It's a wheelchair. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm noticing more and more we're taking into consideration when we're building that you need to put a ramp.
Yes.
in,
Yes.
right?
And that's
that was something that plagued. I remember I went to school with Ian. Everybody
Yes,
knows Ian
yes.
that works at
KNIS, yes.
And just for him to get into school, you used to see they would take it in turns. Different able-bodied students would go and assist.
Lift
Some
him,
would take
yeah.
the chair, some would take him, and they would take him to class. Because when I was in third form, I think he was already in sixth form. And the sixth form was not wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
And this was quite some time back.
Yeah.
So we've actually learned, and I can see that they're making strides in that
Yes.
area, where most of the buildings that they're building now, and even some that already exist, they're adding ramps to it.
Yes.
So
yeah, and
good on
but we
them.
still have a long way to go, though, and that's just the reality. And so that's kind of what, with the new unit, and we have a new coordinator for that, who is just kind of really focused on pushing that forward. And
Yes.
so
We need
in
it.
the
Good.
in the ministry, what she's doing now is really trying to connect with stakeholders, private sectors, to be able to say, okay, how do you do business? What is one change that you can make in your business to see how we can better accommodate persons with disabilities? And it's just conversations, and I said it's part of the consciousness raising, it's part of the advocacy. And so we are brand new, starting out, we don't have much money, but we're just doing what we can.
Right.
Because
small steps.
It's right,
and I
that's
think
right.
it will start with education. And I
Absolutely.
always take everything that I want to accomplish, I take it back to that, because for me that is always the starting point.
Yes.
Recently, a young lady came into my store, and we just were chatting while I was preparing she ordered some balloons, and then I got to find out that she works with the differently abled, and they usually have like an open day, and I think they had it this year at the McKnight Community Center.
Yes, they do.
And I promised her that I was gonna come, but my day just went awry. And she was telling me they make these mats, they do
Yes,
this
they do.
decor, they keep this, and I was just like, how did I not know that this
Yeah.
existed?
Yeah.
Right?
No,
You know,
yeah.
so it needs to be made public. And, you
Yeah.
know, they were having this open day. I even gave her extra stuff because I was so impressed. I was like, yes, finally somebody's
Yeah.
taking
No,
this
yeah.
on hand and
And
they're
that's-
doing something about it.
Absolutely,
You know, it was
absolutely.
people with hearing impairment,
Yes.
people that were had sight impairment, they were
Yes.
blind, people
Yeah.
that, you know, they were just differently able, but they were having an open day to show all the products that they created
the
and crafted.
skills and
I was
abilities.
just
Yes, that's right. And then, you know, we have to give a shout out to the Disabilities Association as well as Addie's Place that actually really work with Addie's Place works more with young people to teach them life skills, so
Perfect.
survival skills, you know, just, you know, how to do things like washing. And so they have young people, I guess it's people more with more mental disabilities at
Right.
Addie's Place. And then the Disabilities Association focuses on obviously persons with, you know, any kind of physical disability. They have more of those individuals there. And so, you know, they try to do some kind of skills training, engage them in activities because they can contribute in a lot of different ways. And so, and we're actually pleased to say that as part of so the new units, we were able to hire a program officer from the community. And so we are also trying to create employment opportunities for
Perfect.
persons within that community. So we were just able to hire on a new program officer from the community there. So, you know, we're really trying to break the stigma and shift our norms so that we become a much more inclusive in society,
Yes.
so that no one is left behind. And that's really what the ministry is all about.
And perfect. I'm so happy that you guys are doing that. One of the things I noticed that the youth department was doing, and I used to be very involved in the youth department. I guess until I aged out. But I noticed that you guys have a very active Facebook page.
Yes.
So I'm often on the Facebook page. I think I even got a badge because I'm
Oh,
always
you
on
did?
the page.
Oh, love it. Thank you.
You're a top fan.
I'm always on the
Yes.
page, right?
Thank you for that.
So,
Yes.
and I'm so proud of you guys for that.
Yes.
I want to ask if the other organizations and the other arms of your ministry, if they're also on Facebook, and tying that in with our theme for today, with the whole digital and technological aspect.
That's a good
If you guys have, you know, thought
So,
about that.
yes,
and-
of course. So we do plan to get, you know, the other departments online. But I think right now we're probably just going to be sharing a Facebook page because we don't have one for the new ministry yet. So that is under development. And of course, we're kind of leaning on our youth officers who kind of manage our social media pages right now to help support our new units. And so yes, that is coming. So we just, you know, appreciate the
Yay.
patience. But of course, one of the I got into this department, like, we need to raise our visibility.
Yes.
So that's why I'm
Yes.
like, whatever,
Let's use
you know,
the
that's
social
why,
media.
yes,
Let's
because
get on
that's what
Facebook,
we have to
right.
get to the young people, and that's where the young people are.
Because
you
as
know?
you were talking about Addie's Place, I was like, can I find that on Facebook? I've heard of it, but I don't know where it actually exists.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I don't know if they have a Facebook page, but yes, and I mean, we're talking about technology. That's the age that we're moving, the direction we're moving into. So yes, that visibility is important, and I'm really pleased with the youth officers, the youth department, in terms of how they have been able to kind of do that.
Bring
so
it to
we're-
the fore.
Yes, we
yes.
have to get to where the young people are. We really, really do,
really
and
do.
they are behind their screens.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Isalean, it has
Yes.
been a pleasure having
Thank
you this
you.
morning.
Thank you for having me.
Ellie, shout out you want to give on International Women's Day for the women out there.
Of course, you know, I just want to say a huge happy International Women's Day to all the women of the Federation. You know, make sure you big up yourself. And, you know, I think it's important for us to not forget just how valuable we are. And I'm always a big encourager that as women, we also need to support each other, because sometimes I think we can be our own biggest enemies. So I think, you know, I want us to, you know, at least, you know, if this one day, you know, at least, you know, see a woman on the street, give her a compliment, you know, be kind. Let's be kinder to each other, because of course, you know, we know that the men are all about International Women's Day. You know, they'll give us this day for sure.
Yes, right.
And so we just need to, I really hope that even past today, that it will, you know, kind of the support and the honoring and the empowerment will continue. So happy International Women's Day, and, you know, look forward to great things as we move forward.
Problem, of course, in future we could have you back on.
Of course,
as we speak on
definitely.
different issues.
Yes, of
Thank you
course.
so much. It's been a
All
pleasure
about
being
it.
in your company.
Yes, thank you as well.
Isalean knows she's welcome anytime.
For sure.
Jamsa keeps talking about this speech you made in Parliament during domestic violence
you
legislation.
made an aside about the kind of gimme culture we have here, handout culture.
Oh, yes,
and that always stuck in my head.
Oh, really?
I'm planning to go and pull it out and build a conversation about that.
So you have a fan, I see.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So you're
Appreciate
doing
that.
an awesome job.
Well, thank you.
you
That
so
really
much.
means a lot. That really means a lot.
And we've got Speaker Lanine Blanchette coming up
Yes.
next.
Okay.
9:30.
Great. Thank you, guys.
No problem, I see.
Goodbye. Lovely. You guys were
Thank you.
Found the sound 98.9. Win FM.
Rams is for you and me. Giving back to community. Rams is for you and me. Better for your family. Better service, better price, better value, better choice. Rewarding you for loyalty. Rams is for you and me. Better price and quality.
Sardine have a new vibe. Brunswick sardine have a new. Brunswick sardine fillet. It have a new vibe. You hear what me say? Run go to your favorite supermarket or corner shop and grab a couple things today. Cause this a sitting where everybody a go like. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. 5 different flavors for you to try. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. Plus it boneless. Oh yes, that's right. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. And with nutrition in every bite, it tastes nice. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe.
It's 9:32, and we've got the pleasure of, on this International Women's Day, to have the Speaker of the House, Lanine Blanchette. She's joining us. Good morning, Madam Speaker.
Good morning. Yes, we have the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Lanine Blanchette. Lanine, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm excited.
Happy.
She looks anything like she's feeling amazing.
And she's here
I hope
sporting
you guys
this
can
brooch.
see her. She looks amazing.
From Zen Official.
Yes. So it's International Women's Day, and the theme is digital, and it's all about innovation, creativity, in women. How do you feel about the day today, as it being International Women's Day?
Well, my thought process on International Women's Day in general is multi-dimensional. My thought process on International Women's Day, first of all, is multi-dimensional. For me, it is firstly recognition of women, and that is very important, because too often we go unseen. It's recognition of the many roles that we play in life, in society in general. Secondly, it means appreciation for me.
Right.
It is a day where we walk the streets, or internationally we are celebrated, and persons are saying this is the value of the woman.
Yes.
And lastly, it allows for us to raise awareness about some of the things that are not where they should be as yet. So those 3 things for me encompass International Women's Day.
I love that response because it covers everything. I
Yes.
mean, for the most part, we've just been speaking about the whole not being there yet and the appreciation.
Yes.
But I like that you've covered all 3 because they all exist.
Yes.
Just in different quantities, right?
And I have that unique ability to view and appreciate both sides of the argument, because some women will just put on the forefront where we aren't as yet, or what hasn't been done as yet.
Right.
But we also have to give credence to what has been done, and
Right.
the fact that yes, some
Strides
persons are
being
yes,
made.
indeed.
Right.
When you look at what you're doing, Ms. Blanchette, in terms of being the Speaker of the House and being female in what has been for some time a male-dominated house
Yes.
and you see more females in there and you're able to stay there as the presiding officer of the National Assembly, that shows the power of women.
Indeed, and I am the youngest. I stand to be corrected nationally.
No, I think
That
you
has
are
been-
because Senator Phillips was just in here, and I was telling her she doesn't even understand how happy I am that we're basically taking over.
They are taking over.
There are quite a number of women in this particular cabinet and parliament,
Yes.
and I am so happy to see it.
And
what is it like?
It's amazing. It's mind blowing. It's an honor, and it's an indication that we are striving to do what is right in terms of equity. And it reminds me that we're going in the right direction.
Definitely.
Again, we're not where we need to be,
Right.
but strives are being made. And I think that is important to highlight. One of the things that most people forget is that the clerk as well is
female.
Trevelyan Stapleton.
Yes.
She
Right.
is a staple.
Yes.
Credence to her name. She
Yes.
is a staple in Parliament,
Yes.
and she's quite young as well, but she's ever efficient.
Yes.
So I always highlight her wherever I go because she helps me more than persons may see. She's very important to the functions and the role of Parliament, but most times people mention the Speaker
The
and the
Speaker
Deputy
and completely
Speaker
not-
and
Right, they
forget
don't
her.
realize.
I'll never allow that to happen.
Perfect,
Yeah,
perfect.
big
And I
clap.
always listen, like whenever they're having sit-ins, and I'm listening for the one person that's gonna say, Mr. I'm like, hello, yes, it's Madam.
But in all,
because it's like I think they've become so accustomed to having
Yes.
a male sit up there that when you're in the midst, and we've done parliamentary stuff before because we
Yes.
were both in Skype.
Yes.
When you're making that presentation, especially if you've had it in your head for some time,
Yes.
sometimes it's a slip of the tongue. I'm always just waiting, like, you better get it straight.
And I've given time and I've
Yes.
given grace. I think it's time now for them to adjust.
Yes,
So
yes.
I've now started correcting.
Exactly.
Especially when you have both the Speaker and the Deputy both as females. So
And you're
it's
sitting
not an
right
opportunity
there,
that
right?
you
Yeah,
could miss up
exactly.
now.
And the president. Ooh, I
Yes.
forgot that.
Exactly.
Oh, yes,
Nevis,
the president in
Michelle
Nevis,
Snack.
yes.
Yes.
Right.
She was your classmate.
Yeah, well, yes, you were. Yes,
Yes.
Michelle and I went to UE and we went to Norman Manley.
Well, look at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's the president of
And,
Nevis
and
as well.
Lanny farm, we went to Academy School.
Yes.
Then we went to Washi. Well, no, you went
I
to
went
Sandy
to
Point.
San
Yeah,
SP.
you went.
SP
You
with
went
the
to
best.
Sandy Point. Yes, you went to Sandy
That's
Point.
true, yes.
But then we met up again at the University of the West Indies when
Yes.
she came in and she did law. So
Yes.
it has been.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. My first, my intro to you was when you became Speaker. And then I was like, but why do I not know this girl? So I'm Googling now, but I think I'm more familiar with your sister.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my goodness. So that's what their parents did. Oh, it's a Lanine and a
And Javim. Javim is
Yeah.
a
See,
little
I
child.
didn't even know that, right?
He's a medical
so I'm
doctor.
like, well, I'm Googling now. I'm trying to find out. I'm like, where did this girl pop up from? But it's just that I've been asleep.
But
Well, not
Lenny,
necessarily.
Lenny has been in pageantry as well. Lenny has been
That's what I got
in
from
the
my
National
my
Queen
research.
pageant.
Yeah, I was
A
like,
long,
oh wait,
long time
we
ago.
have another Miss Senkits there.
A long time ago.
Ah.
And so,
Well, kudos,
Thank you,
kudos.
thank you.
And I'm glad you
Multidimensional.
brought that up, because people often see pageantry, and I've been in pageantry as well.
Yes.
People often think that you can't be a beauty queen and still accomplish academically. I remember actually when I entered the Miss Guyana Universe pageant,
Yes.
my law professors were very upset. Because the girl who had won the pageant before me was also in law school, and we had another queen in the faculty. So they were a bit annoyed. They were like, all these law students want to go in these pageants. You guys need to decide if you're going to be lawyers or queens or beauty queens.
But the
And I was
pageant-
like, but
Why can't you do
can't
both?
we do both?
Exactly.
Right?
What precludes
And
you from
so
one
of
or the other?
issues I ended up having was that they tried to block me from going to Miss Universe and from
Seriously?
doing my exams, and it became a whole thing. And at that point
Wow.
in time, I had even taken on extra subjects. So when it was time to graduate, the head of my department didn't want to sign my paper. He was like, well, you didn't do one of the exams, because they purposely didn't sit me for an exam. You didn't do one of the exams, so you can't graduate. And I'm sitting there grinning from ear to ear on the inside, right? I'm like, well, sir, I did 7 subjects. So even though I didn't write one of the exams, I now have 6. So I think I have more than enough. This man wanted to explode. But I say all of that to say
Total
that
misconception.
you can go into pageantry and people don't understand the importance of pageantry. You learn, you get confidence, self-esteem, public speaking skills, time management, multitasking, because I did it while I was studying. You know, all of those things. And
forces you to become structured as well, to plan properly.
Entrance and a queen to another.
But I wasn't queen. I was first runner.
Speaker.
I'm a queen in my own right.
Yes, we all are, right? You know, and it's good to see that is still part of your resume.
Yes.
And then it has just expanded.
Yes.
And so it says a lot. Women are able to do
I think
above and
duality
exceedingly
as well.
beyond.
I think as you make the point about pageantry, I think people need to understand that pageantry presents a platform for young ladies
Yes,
as well,
it does.
where they're able to speak on different issues as they face
Yes.
society. They are going to be the men who watch on, and then
Yes.
you gain
Yes,
you gain that audience,
Yes.
and so you're able to use that audience and to boost your platform. If you look at the Miss Universe pageant that you
Yes.
participated in, it's all about now transformational leaders.
Exactly.
So they have
Exactly.
changed the way pageantry is, and it makes it more about what can you do for society.
Precisely.
Yes. And
Precisely.
it also forces you to do a bit more community work. It puts into focus the importance of volunteerism.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you find that is now a common theme
Right.
whenever you're
so
entering
you're not
a
just
pageant.
focusing on you.
Exactly.
What are you doing
Yes,
for others?
the community. Very much so.
And it's good to see the change, and it's good to see that, you know, women who have participated in pageants
Yes.
can come back and they can accomplish other things. I couldn't help but hear when our former guest, Brenda Allen, was
Yes.
announcing persons that had gotten sports award. Kalia Huggins was
Yes.
mentioned, and
Yes.
she's a former Miss St. Kitts as
Very
well.
much so.
And it jumped out at me because I actually did some chaperoning for her, and I was
Yes.
like, well, good job. Good to see that you're still very active in the world of sport.
Indeed.
Yes.
Again, we can accomplish anything that we set our mind to.
Very much
and
so.
so putting us in a box is really says a lot about the persons that are putting you in those
Yes.
boxes, because there have been women that have participated in pageants, that have done sports, that have still come back to make awesome leaders.
Yes, and in fact, I always tell persons, my family has a very deep sporting background.
Yes.
And I remember growing up, some persons, their family, their parents would tell them, you have to play an instrument, you have to learn the language. But my parents were adamant, you have to participate in a sport.
Yes.
Just choose one. Find one that you're good at, but you're playing something. Netball. I was a netballer. I played netball from the age of, and my mother's a netball coach.
Yes.
So I played netball from the age of, say, 4, thereabout, up to, I would say, 25 when I was going to law school.
Yeah.
Wow.
I played for 1 year for UE Blackbirds, and then I got injured, and I think that is where I started slowing down. And it was very difficult to balance law and netball
And
as
Nadine was
well.
also the sports chair for the Law Society.
Yes, I was. So when I got injured, I had to transition into that because
Exactly.
I felt like I needed to contribute.
Right.
So yes, I was a sports chairperson.
And sports
for
again
a law.
teaches you discipline. So
Indeed.
I don't understand why people think you can only be one-dimensional, why you just have to do one thing.
Yes.
Why can't we do several?
Yeah.
I actually think it's interesting. You said that you said your parents actually insisted that you do a
Yes.
sport, which isn't usual. So that was great.
So I have 2 other siblings. There's 3 of us. I played netball. My brother was one of the top footballers St. Kitts has seen thus far. His name is in every village, every community. He got a scholarship as well to play football, where he did pre-med and football, and it wasn't the norm. I remember when he went to school, his lecturers were asking him, how are you going to balance football and biology? Usually you see the athletes doing business
Easier
also,
subjects
and
to
easier.
pursue.
Yes. My sister, she was the one who experimented. She played football, she played netball, she played tennis.
Wow.
But she had to play a sport.
Exactly.
You have to in our home.
And I think, people don't understand the reasoning behind that. But for those of us who are in it,
Yes.
you understand that they're telling you that because sports teaches you a discipline,
Discipline,
that you probably
yes.
won't pick
Yes.
up from something else.
Yes.
And then it's physical exercise, which also helps with brain power. So it's you know, a 2-4.
Socialization skills. You know how to deal with different personalities at an early age. You also have to, well, in our home as well, it was important that you balance education and sports.
Yes.
And we competed against each other.
Of
So we
course.
wanted to ensure
Typical
that.
sibling.
Yes. And it's not just in sports. I remember my sister, she said, well, both of you set subjects in 4th form, but I'm going to do mine in 3rd form.
Of
And
course.
she did math in
Of
3rd form.
course.
Oh my goodness! So it teaches you to compete, but not in a bad way.
Right,
You know?
right.
So I
And still
love the
there's
balance.
teamwork, because if
Very
you're on a
much so.
team, you can't make it all about you.
Very much
So I
so.
think your parents were brilliant in that regard. Like, you
Yes.
better pick a sport, and
You have
you
to.
have to be good at it
Yes.
too.
Listen, it came from far. I didn't mention my dad earlier, but my dad was a footballer, and I think it's when he went to play
wow.
football one time, he saw my mother playing netball, so that is how they met. But that's the story we got. I don't know how true it is and how
what they're
accurate.
sticking to.
Yes, so that's what they're saying.
Yes.
Oh
So
my
it stems
goodness.
from birth,
Yes.
I'd say.
Oh wow.
So 2 sports persons came together.
Right?
Yes. and you see the family going football or netball.
Yes, dad's a footballer
Yes.
and a coach as well. But my mom coaches professionally. She's a netballer and coach for the sports department.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she started through volunteerism.
And I think she taught the netballing academy as well. When
Yes, and
there.
it's after that somebody saw her. She coached all of the private schools
Yeah.
for free.
Huh?
Yes, because she had migrated from Tortola. She came home. She wasn't working, and she loves
Right.
netball. So she
why
started
not start
teaching
here?
the private schools. And I think Sam Conda saw her and asked her, "Well, who do you work for? Do you
Yeah.
have an academy?" She
Right.
said, "No, I do this for free." And I think he indicated that there were openings at the sports department then, so she applied, and that is how she started working 25 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I always saw her at the academy school.
Yes,
coaching.
volunteering.
Wow.
Yep.
See, sometimes it just starts off with you
Yes.
giving back, and then it can.
And it comes to you.
Right.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask, now that we are in the digital age,
Yes.
and that you have taken on this new portfolio as speaker, would you say, or have you seen that our parliament and the parliamentary procedures, have they migrated? Have they graduated?
No, that is going to change during my tenure.
Yes.
I've already started the conversations. My clerk and I have a plan whereby we want 2 things at least. We want to have a website.
Right.
We
Yes.
want to have clips at least uploaded. We want when either the speaker or the deputy speaker or the clerk go somewhere and they make presentations, that is recorded here.
Yes.
We also want to have our standing orders readily available. Sometimes persons don't necessarily know you can get all of the laws online now,
Right.
but we'll have that section of the act readily available. We also want to have a parliamentary procedure recorded as a script. One of the
Right.
difficulties that I had when I took up office was that I didn't necessarily have a script to follow.
Right.
So persons are of the view that
I
you just
wondered
go in
about that,
and
you
you
know.
sit.
Yeah.
But it's a whole set of procedures that you have
Yes.
to memorize.
Yes.
You have to follow. You also have to do that in conjunction with the standing orders. So a lot goes into preparing. Again, kudos to my clerk. She sat down with me. We went through some of the videos. She typed out every single thing,
Oh, my
and she
goodness.
presented it to me after we discussed it. And that is why I always highlight her. She makes my job easy.
Right. But it would have been so much easier if
If
it
I
was
could have
already
just gone on a
online and
portal
just-
and checked it.
Right.
Further from that, 2 weeks ago, a student from Cave Hill
Yes.
reached out to me and he asked, is there a website that I can go to and find the procedures for our parliament? And like, no, not yet.
Yes.
But you'll have that soon. And so what I
Right.
did was I redacted some of the things that I had in my script and I gave and I said, you can use this as a
Right.
guide. So
Yes.
that is a start. But if it was readily available, I would have been
Right.
able to
Yeah.
say, just go to stkidsparliament.com or something or
Right,
.org
right.
something.
So he's
so
a-
we need
he's-
to
Here's a related question.
Yes.
So does that mean then, and after this stuff is gazetted, like printed, the traditional
Yes.
way, then you would have the gazette online on that same
Yes,
website?
because
I think
even though
it's
there's a
there
website,
now,
at least
right?
yes,
because
but at
it
least
took a
a
little
link.
while to get the laws online.
Yes.
Yeah,
because
it took a really long while.
I
Yes,
remember
by the
when I
law
was in
commission.
school, it was
I didn't have
pressure.
access to it.
Yeah.
Did you?
I
We
used
didn't
to
have
have to keep
anything.
Well, we
messaging
had-
people in St. Kitts. I remember
I
even
think there was a
our
flash drive.
AG.
We had a flash drive going around.
Right,
the
because
laws.
our AG at the point in time when he was doing law, I was working at Kelsick Wilkin and he
Yes.
needed help, and I would actually have to go print the stuff and get it FedEx
Oh.
to
Wow.
him, right? Because that's how we did not have anything
Yeah.
online. Even yesterday, I noticed when you guys were in Parliament, I was like, okay, so I need to know what was done because I missed it because I was,
Yes.
doing everything else. I was like, okay, where are these things? And so I went online and I was able to pull from SKNIS
Yes.
the laws and the bills that were actually
Yes.
read and what was passed and whatever.
Yes.
But to get like a full replay or to even pull up the others is very painstaking.
You'd have to go to YouTube.
Yes.
And sort and sift through the 6-hour videos.
Yes.
Listen,
Yes.
I had to learn the budget that way. And I had to watch 5 days of videos. I had to dedicate my entire weekend to that. It took a lot of work to prepare.
So we definitely
We
need
need it.
to get
Yes.
digitalized in that.
It will be done. I want to be transformative. I'm young and I want that to be reflected in the way Parliament
Like
is
the word
conducted.
transformative.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to do a little bit of everything. I removed the plastics from my chamber. I
I
don't want any
noticed that,
plastics there.
yes.
I have
Kudos.
glass pictures.
Yes.
I'm changing out some of the furniture. I'm going to have young people's work displayed in Parliament. I'm trying to
I love
ensure that
it.
we do awareness, things that raise awareness on important topics. I had members wear pink for breast cancer
Right.
awareness. I had members wear purple and they participate. I don't delve into politics, but I feel like this season of politicians, they are easier to manage and they have been very cooperative
Right,
with
right.
the office of the speaker. So
Right.
in older people say knock wood.
Yes.
Let's hope it remains that
Yes,
way.
yes, yes.
I think it was great that you pointed out the fact that I think a lot of laymen, the regular
Yes.
people don't realize. They think that you only work when there's House of Assembly. So
No, you don't.
I think it was interesting that you pointed out that you had to sit down and listen
Yes,
to the
I
budget
do.
for 5 hours.
And you
so,
have to
so there's
read the
work
law.
that you're doing when you're not in the chamber.
And you
only
have to
flow that
plan.
well if you
have to
work
make sure the parliamentarians have breakfast, lunch, dinner. You have to ensure that the spaces are cleaned. You have to ensure that the media personnel is in place. You have to pay for these things. You have to check the bills. You have to sign bills.
I'm glad you're saying this because a lot of us did not know that this was the whole back end.
Yes.
Like, I figured, of course, you would be doing your research, you would
Yes.
have to read, you'd have to do this and that, but all of these other things that you're listing,
Yes.
I don't think people know that those are some of the things that the speaker has to do.
Yes, and just like the law of evidence, well, both of you have background in law, not a little, I apologize. One of the basic rules of Parliament is presentation is relevance.
Yes.
And so as the speaker, I have to read the bills and I have to read the act that they are amending, if any,
Yes.
and ensure that whatever is being presented by the various honorable members is relevant to the bill.
Exactly.
That takes work. You don't just show up. If you do, you would just find yourself sitting and not being able to tell one of the members,
Right, you won't be
where's
able
the
to
relevance of that?
participate.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And so that is important as well. And I don't think that the public is, well, sometimes they may not know.
I can
that
assure you that a
is
lot of
done.
us, the public, we are not aware of some of the things that you guys, that you in particular have to do.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you drew reference to that and you pointed it out because, I'm thinking, probably just the research. She has to have a certain background in law. And then, of course, you kind of have to pay attention because chaos can erupt on the floor at any given point.
Yeah.
But,
You
it's
know,
all this background information.
as a prosecutor, I would have to sit through long hours of trial, but it was active. I would get up, I would present, I would interview, I would take evidence from a witness. I would open a case or close a case. And so you're actively moving.
Right.
But sitting there and having to focus for 6 hours and ensuring that everyone is abiding, it is so draining.
Yes. It's more
I
brain
couldn't even
work
go to
than
the gym
anything
this
else.
morning.
Exactly.
I was so tired.
That's why it's important to have a deputy as well,
Right.
so you
Yes.
could actually facilitate when that time comes.
I do that when I realize that I'm not able to focus because of fatigue.
Yes.
She steps in and she always
Yes.
willingly helps.
Yes.
But I have to be very careful because she's balancing 2
Yes.
roles. So I
Right.
don't want to have to overwork her when she has to present.
Yes.
So those are what we do. We discuss ahead of time. I may need some help today. Today is long. Today's going to be long based on the bills we have, and she's always readily available to
And
us.
as it's
perfect.
International Women's Day,
Yes.
it's important to note that this might be the first time we have the two speaker
Very much
posts
so.
are females.
Yeah,
So-
and the clerk. Always
and the
remember
clerk.
the clerk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my question is, in terms of the back end stuff that you guys were just talking about,
Yes.
she has to be understudying you at all times so that she's au
Yes.
fait in case she has to.
She does her
step
work.
in?
What I would say is that most of the planning is between myself and the clerk because we are here together.
Yeah.
Right.
But we always include her digital.
Right, group chats, right?
Yes. So
Yes.
I now have a group chat where we discuss things so that she's always involved, even though she's over the seas.
Yes.
Right,
essentially.
right,
Yes.
right. See, technology
Yes.
at work.
Technology.
So I want to wish you best of luck in your transformation and conversion of our
Yes.
parliament
Thank you.
into this digital age. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see the results because I know you will get it done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
think
you.
people need to fully understand the role of the house and the administrative aspect of it because, as you
Yes.
said, it's not just going in, but it's
Yes.
actually preparing beforehand and
Yes.
having that staff because the Speaker of the House does have a staff.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and the
I
clerk
do.
and everything would be the staff.
Let's squeeze
attached
in
to
one
that.
call. There's a call coming in, so let's
Yes.
take the call. I mean, hey, it's International Women's Day. I'm sure someone wants to big up the speaker.
Oh, wow.
Island T for the speaker. Go right ahead. Make it short
Greetings.
because we got
Thanks for
4
taking
minutes.
our call.
Yes.
Extending to your guests and blessed International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Okay, 2 things. We heard you talk about the draining of energy. There's food for energy, so just find out and indulge. There's a stinking toe juice. It's very, very vital. You just get your stinking toe, soak them, and there's other things too. There's a lot of other things. There's tamarind drink and etc. to up your energy levels.
Thank you.
That post that you hold, Mom.
Yes.
Impartiality is very important within the scheme of things. How do you think you're coping with that? Do you think you're coping all right with that? We'll hang up and listen. Blessed love. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller.
Well, it's not good to toot your own horn,
Mm-hmm.
but I strive to be as impartial as I possibly can, as fair as I can. And for the most part, the reviews are saying that there has been a difference. Persons are saying that I've been doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few older attorneys who I use as guidance, who give me guidance, and they give me reviews as well, and I trust their judgment. And for the most part, I have been told that I'm doing a good job. So if there's always room for improvement, and I won't say that I'm perfect, but I'm trying my best.
But what I must say, though, with the House is that I find that the members within the House show a greater level of respect than they often have in the recent past to the Speaker.
Yes, because
So
I've set
seen
the
that,
tone
yes.
early. I'm
I've
not
seen
there for games. It's a very
Exactly.
important
I've
place to
seen
be.
that.
Matters of Parliament have the ability to affect people's lives.
Yes.
And I want to keep that at the forefront of my mind, squarely with fairness. I'm trying my best.
You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you very
must
much.
commend you. I am so proud every time
Thank
Parliament
you.
is convened. I listen.
And one thing about Lani, she comes with her outfits.
I love suits. I love suits. I do.
This one
And now
is
that I've found
amazing.
Zen,
I wish you guys
Pablo.
could see her, the full outfit, but she looks the part in every way.
Thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for
gracing us with
having
your
me.
No
presence.
problem. And of course, you're welcome
Happy
here.
International Women's Day
Thank you, my
to every
dear.
woman. Thank you.
Yes, Same to you. And continue to enjoy the rest of your day and try to get some rest and some of that juice that our caller just suggested.
Tamarind and stinking toe.
Tamarind.
Yes. Thank you, caller.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Lanil.
Thank you.
And do have a fantastic day, International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, that's going to do it for our Island Tea, the International Women's Day edition. And we had the pleasure of having two female government officials, Isalean Phillip and now Blanchette. And we hope that you guys have a great day. Madam
Thank
Speaker.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
On me.
Hey kids, drink healthy. Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors. Drink from more healthy way.
It tastes so